All right, let's get this going. We are recording. So, everyone, welcome to the first episode of For the Love of Pod Review. This is something that I've been talking with Hunter and Mega about doing for a little bit now, maybe over a month, about sitting down, just the three of us, and talking about the podcast and how we think it's going so far, the good stuff, the bad stuff, and just some more behind the scenes stuff. Granted, we already kind of are the behind the scenes podcast, and Mega has made this joke before. We're doing a behind the scenes to the behind the scenes.
Hey, listen, it's fire though, like it's a little bit of an insight, maybe people who are just curious about how like the thought process of things.
You kind of have to look at the inside path within the inside path. It's like reading between the lines. It's a fine print on the contract.
Yeah. But like, guys, we've now done this. We just finished recording the Solomon episode, and this will probably go out at some point during the week of Solomon's episode. So it's not gonna be like something I hold on to for 2-3 weeks. No, I'll probably put this out on either Thursday or Friday. But 14 weeks in, or technically 16, with the 2 test episodes. I mean, we just touched on at the end of Solomon's episode. Again, thank you guys so much for being able to do this every Monday for now 4 months, basically. But like we've now been doing this for a while. Like, what has been something you guys have really like looked at as we've gotten better with? Is there anything we've gotten kind of worse with? Like, what is like the happy medium that we've kind of found with this podcast in your eyes?
The happy medium for me is just the one thing we have gotten really, really good at, or more so, maybe it's just the fact that we have opened up the door more for guests to do this, but to actually give them the opportunity to fully yap away. To like, I feel like ever since we got to like the Will English episode, from then on, I feel like we hit this amazing stride of like people like telling these like amazing stories, and just in a session where it's like, man, we really don't want to stop them, but we have to at some point and move to another topic.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. Like, it's just, like getting to actually hear about specific stories, because obviously, you want to hear like the overall story, because that kind of is better framework for the questions that you ask. But it's just nice to give people that sort of room to talk, because again, these people like give them an inch, they'll take a mile type thing. Just let them talk.
Yeah, and that's been like one reason, and I never want to overflow us or overflood us when it comes to like having casters on, because you hear us talk. We're all casters. You hear us talk a lot if you do watch any of the stuff that we're about, and you hear other casters talk a lot. It's why it's been so fun to bring on. I mean, most of these people, I would say almost all of them, I would consider friends. Like, probably only 2 I wouldn't consider like someone as a friend just yet would be Will and Hot Sauce, because I just had never worked with them before. But a lot of that, and like we've touched on this in the past, a lot of these people that are our guests are our friends. We've worked with them in the past, so we kind of know what we're expecting. But like giving a lot of these people who aren't casters the time to speak has been really, really fun. And I mean, it even happened with today's episode with Solomon. Like, he even told us after either just at the end of the episode or after, like, he talked a lot about it, about Fight Night and all the stuff that he's done. It's like, that's perfectly fine. That's what we want people to do. We want them to show their passion for esports, especially at the level that we're at, where I think we've said this in the past. We don't know if it's tier 2 anymore. Probably safe calling it tier 3. I don't know if you would want to call it tier 4, but it's still that community kind of grassroots scene.
Yeah, there's always that sort of debate of whatever the heck we're at, but some people like they have more interesting stories. I do want to say I really, really hope that Will listens to this and immediately pings you is like, the frick you mean we're not friends? Like, I just really think Will would do that, and I think it would be very funny.
You did just deliberately call 2 of our guests not your friend.
Well, no, I specified it by saying I had not worked with them in the past. Those are the first times I met those people. Like, we're friends now, We're friends now. I will say we're friends now. But before the episode, before I hit start recording, I mean they were people that I maybe had 5 minutes or less of conversation with, just while I'm getting everything set up.
Yeah, there's always a little bit of conversation before and after.
Mm.
Just a little something gets the vibes going a little bit. You never want to go in completely cold turkey.
I mean, like that's why all the intros, especially I think since I don't know how long I've been doing it. I don't think it's been since the start, where it's always like, oh yeah, I start recording mid conversation, so it's the most out of context thing.
I bet it's the knock episode. If I had to take a shot at one where it started, I bet it was the knock episode.
That would feel like a very safe
That
bet.
feels right.
I feel like it was something that kind of always happened. It's just like knock was kind of the first time we acknowledged it.
Probably, yeah.
Well, this episode does have the random start thing with the chapter listed from you, Dex. Something, I guess.
Well, there's also a lot. There's also a lot of like. There's one like here. Let me see if I can find it in my notes where I literally just say like, yeah, episode 9. It's user. We forgot this happens. It's what I called the first like couple minutes of it before we got to intro.
Oh, you are correct. Yeah, literally, we forgot this happens.
Yeah,
you have a lot of chapters too. I do like that. It's very broken down.
That was one of the things, and like I'll say this: after the first test episode, Headrammer was one of the only people who reached out to me and gave me notes, and I thank him for that. One of his things that he said, like, "Hey, start doing chapters. Like, just start putting that in." And I think it really helps. Kind of if someone is looking for a specific thing, they can find it a little bit easier in there. But it also just helps like kind of see like as an overview what you're talking about in that entire episode. Because if you follow just based off the tweet that I normally put up the night before and the morning of, it doesn't necessarily tell you everything. Like last week, the tweet when the episode went live was, oh yeah, we talked about graphics, Spectreon glazing, and Spectreon slander, and more.
I love that. I just have to say I love that. I realize I'm sitting here actively glazing our own podcast, but like this is, but it's like we're doing cool stuff. Like from something that like we thought like okay we might give this a few weeks if something happens and it just crashes down into the earth. Like literally, just for me personally, looking back and seeing like the list of people we have, like we are literally collecting the Pokédex of production right now, and it's fantastic.
And we're collecting the Pokédex of production. A lot of it's Overwatch. I'm excited to see what happens when we step outside of Overwatch a little bit more and start bringing in whether it be Rocket League, Apex, Valorant, like because we know people in those who would probably be able to come on hopefully, and tell their stories, because I mean hell that's my favorite part of this is just hearing other people's stories, how they started, what keeps them coming back, what's their favorite thing about this. It's always really fun to hear that because a lot of times we can relate to at least how we all got started or why we keep coming back. But then there's those ones where it's just like, I look at Hot Sauce as being probably one where why he got started is one, insane, but two, it's really, really nice, and it's not how you would expect someone where they were to kind of get started.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like it's just such an interesting concept. Like that's why I think this podcast is just going to continue to grow and grow. Because, like you said, like it's one of those things where we really have barely scratched the surface. It's mostly just people we know, people in communities, things like that have come on. And there's like other worlds of esports. There's other worlds of just like people and production and everything in between that all have incredible stories to tell. There's always the if you think back to like the Avast community days, right? There was always the joke of the tell-all book of Overwatch League was going to come out, but like, well, obviously, this isn't necessarily a drama farm attempt or anything. Like this podcast, it lets people tell, fun stories, little mishaps that happen. Maybe, oh, this production was gonna go really wrong until someone saved the day. Oh, this silly thing happened. Like stuff you'd never really know about because again, it's just people behind the scenes trying to make some players look good.
Yeah, and absolutely, like it's, and we've already touched on it here a little bit. It's trying to get those people who aren't in front of the camera or are the main focus of the esports. It's trying to get them like their kind of focus, their attention that they rightfully deserve, because it is like esports production is something where even at every level, the people who are doing it do not get the credit they truly deserve. And it's sad that it's like that. Like, it's a thankless job sometimes, or a thankless even just hobby for some people. But it's really fun. Like what I said, it's really fun so far to see all these people come on and be very passionate and telling their stories.
No, I mean 100%, because obviously they don't really get much of an opportunity to do so, like in the first place. Because obviously they aren't hot mic'd. They can't really say anything unless there's very specific circumstances that would call for such a thing to happen. But generally, we get to talk to them beforehand. We get to hear from them throughout the match, but the general populace will pretty much never really get the opportunity to hear them, which I think is a crying shame, because there are some amazing people that just people who just watch esports casually have just never spoken a word to or heard like a word from, like outside of like a couple of tweets, which can be entertaining. Like there's some amazing people that just have great social media game, but just it's a different experience, like hearing them and just like listening about what they do in their life and like the things they love.
Yeah, absolutely. But guys, like, so far with this podcast, like I said, episode 14 is done. Technically, that's episode 16 if you do count the first two test episodes. We've already kind of said that we've gotten better with doing this, and I really think we have. Like, and it's even something where, like I've told you guys, my parents listen to this, and even like they don't understand a thing about what anyone is talking about. They don't understand. They understand what producing and observing is, because I basically kind of, layman terms it to them. But they have honestly told me that all of us, and like the three of us, have gotten a lot better at doing this from week to week. Like, what do you guys necessarily like? I know I've asked the question already, but what do you guys necessarily think has made it to where we've been getting better? Is it just because we keep on doing this very, very frequently, or is it that we just finally got comfortable with this?
Part of it is comfortability, because we started of the circuit of like, hey, like the first like 7 people, unless you want to count Spectreon as 8, whatever. Those first 8 people, we all knew to a very, I would say, a very confident degree up until we get to the Joker's Ransom episode, and that's the same case. And then from onward, with I guess the exclusion of Ray, I guess, because we all know Ray, but it was a situation where it's like, oh, these are not people we generally have casual conversations with, like even it was a thing of like we brought in different people, like me bringing in Hot Sauce was just like a thing of like Mega had worked with Hot Sauce actually recently up to that point once. But being able to bring people in like that, I feel like we have slowly started to thrive more and more, especially you, Dex. Like I think you've gotten really good at it.
Thank you. And I, like one thing, like I would say you guys have definitely gotten better with, and like it's something where why I've always been like so thankful for you guys is in these last couple episodes, I feel like you guys have been talking a lot more, and it makes me feel a lot better when there's those episodes where you guys are talking, it's why, like I said, it's why I always thank you, because I feel like if you guys aren't talking, it's you guys are kind of just sitting there, and it's an hour and a half that maybe you guys could have been doing something else, and that's why I always thank you guys so much for this. But like it's really really fun, and like I think the podcast is always a little bit better when we're all kind of talking, we're all kind of asking questions, and even if it's just like we're adding on to something, adding on to a story, or trying just to insert like a quip back to something that was said. Like I love hearing us all talk in these podcasts.
Yeah, no, I mean, also because obviously it's one thing to just like yap, right? Like we're all casters. Any of us could just throw in some random chatting nonsense, but like there is like there's that level of like kind of just comfort where it's not like, oh, we're forcing ourselves to talk now because we're acknowledging we need to hit a word quote or something. It's like we're adding, we're contributing, and things like that. And I'd like in terms of like the, oh, you're worried if we're just we don't say anything. I will be a fly on the wall to pretty much all of these stories because again, it's so interesting to hear about what some people's experiences are. It is an interesting concept, and so like I will happily be a fly on the wall. I don't have to say a word.
Yeah, and before we go on any further, Mega, thank you again for the name.
I thought you came up with this.
You kept on saying, like, there was something in, I think, our first or second test episode where I think there was like a 30-second thing where either you or someone else kept saying like, for the love of God, and it got through my head enough I could just change God to prod. It sounds really really good.
Yeah. Editor, go find that clip from that episode real quick.
I'm the editor.
That like Dex, you say that like Dex isn't the editor.
I'm the fucking like here again behind the scenes. I'm the one who edits these. Like, to be honest, there's not a lot of editing with this. The first couple episodes, they were rough, and you can go back and see the roughness. Audio levels are not all the same, and that's on me. Like I had to swap microphones. I think I did that around the Will. I think Will's episode was the first time I swapped microphones back to my old casting microphone, just because the one that I'm currently using would not peak. It would always kind of just go halfway and then stop. So I was constantly boosting myself up and turning you guys down, and it just never sounded good. But ever since I made the swap, it's been really easier to make the small audio edits, and luckily we've never had to edit anything out. Like that is something where I haven't had to go back through, write down the time, and say, okay, I need to bleep out this 20 seconds.
I'm not doing a good enough job.
I'll work on
it. I'll work on it. Don't you worry.
That's the word. Not yet. Hasn't happened yet. Yeah. I do believe it is inevitable. I don't know who it's going to come from. I wouldn't guess. But in all seriousness, maybe
putting $5,000 that it would be me, and then I'm just gonna collect the winnings.
The only things I would edit out, and I'll say this right now, it would be if someone's trying to start something with someone else, like they're trying to start drama on this, because that's the last thing I want, or if someone is talking about something they should not be talking about, like whether it's they signed something and they haven't announced it just yet, or like, I'll say this, if anyone talks about politics on this podcast, I'm just gonna fucking get rid of it. I don't want to talk about politics here.
I was gonna like joke him and be like, "You mean that?" But I don't even have my heart in my heart to do it.
There's not even like a good taste I can think of to make something of a joke out of that. I don't know. You can't really. But yeah.
But I mean, 14 episodes down. Like I said, we're 4 months into this, and we were talking about this after the last podcast episode. We could hit 50 by the end of the year if we do not take a break, and I think that was a crazy thought to kind of think. But at the same time, like, if we could get 50 different guests, that would be insane. Because at some point, we are going to run out of people that we know directly.
There are well, yeah, obviously, but there are so many people in this sphere of esports. It is as much as it may be hard to believe that it is essentially endless. It is essentially endless. Like even just like you go into a random Discord for something that we don't really participate in, like, and you will just see a plethora. Like when I did the Marvel Rival stuff, like a couple weeks ago for Kate, the amount of casters that I have never heard of
Mhm.
before that I'm like, oh my god, these people are amazing, and I've literally never seen them before in my life. Like just from that single instance,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Like the amount of casters that are out there is insane, but you would have to think that for how many casters there are out there, there's probably just the same amount of producers, observers, replay ops. Like,
Yeah.
like I'll say this: having Hannah Sophie last week, someone who like I most know her for graphics, was really really fun. And I mean, we touched on that a little bit, but she did so much more, and that's something I did not know. But like we had someone on who does graphics. We had user intel who does short form content and edits. Like
Mhm.
that's I love having those type of guests on, because those are also people you just never really consider when it comes to esports stuff, that don't get the credit they deserve, but truthfully deserve a lot more than what they get.
I mean, yeah. No, I think it genuinely is just as simple as that. I'm just happy that people, well, not, how do I want to word this? I'm trying to overthink it when I don't need to. I'm just happy that we have this so people can have that opportunity. I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, and like I'll say this: if there's anyone who's listening to this that wants to come on, just reach out to one of us, and we will try. Like I will say this: Will English was someone I wanted to have on at some point. Did not think episode 8. Did not think episode 28 would be around the time where we got them on. The only reason they got on as fast as they did was because they showed interest after Joker's episode, and I was like, let's do this right now, while they are still interested in doing this. And I think like Will's episode is one of my favorites so far. I don't know if it's one of your guys's as well, but it's definitely in my top 5 episodes, maybe even top 3, just because, like we've kind of said in other episodes, we could have gone on for 2-3 hours and Will would not have ran out of stories to tell.
100%. Yeah. Like I genuinely, I cannot wait for the tier list episode when we do that, just to actively flame some of our guests.
No, we talked about that. Instead of us flaming our guests, it's gonna be them flaming us.
Oh yeah, the roast.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm ready for it.
All right.
Need them all back.
But here, not to end on a little bit of a negative note, because like I said, I don't want this to be as long as a normal episode. 30 minutes tops. We're already at like 22, 23. What's something that you guys think that we could improve on? Something that we just haven't necessarily done the best of?
Oh, let me tell you something. I know we are not a podcast that is meant to build around structure. I realize that. But come on, even Plat Chat has segments. Like little things. We could come up with little even just little tidbits, like at the end, like saying, hey, like before we go, like, what are you doing right now? Like if you anything you want to shout out or socials, things of that nature, I think that's a pretty appropriate thing to do. But just finding something that it just has a level of consistency, even if it is like straight up ripping out a Plat Chat with like Megalass player of the week, or some vague reference that we could create, just like I feel like that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, that could be a lot of fun. You'd have to figure out something. Like actually Echo could help out a lot with that if you get like a behind the like if we could just somehow collect clips of like somebody saying some crazy shit behind the scenes.
We do.
Hey, that would be really, really funny. It's just like, oh yeah, here's our out of context clip of the week.
So I still love that we have the small collection of voice lines. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, but
it needs to grow.
Yeah, it really does. But Hunter, going back to what you said, I mean, like we have stopped. We did have like segments we would do, but I kind of stopped doing them. Like the first couple episodes after the intro, it was always, intro all you guys, intro all guests, and then it would be, okay, what have you guys done in the past week? And like I stopped doing that just because it seemed like at points it was like, oh yeah, I did this one thing and that was it. And especially, as a lot of our seasons that for the Overwatch leagues that we cast and are wrapping up, we're gonna be starting to get back into that point where it's like, I was able to do one thing this week and that was it. And so I just didn't want to have people who are like, oh, I did this, and then it's going back down to, I didn't do anything.
Yeah, I thought your concern would be interrupting the flow, especially with how things have gone lately, where we kind of just there is a point at some point in the podcast where a spark hits and then it does not stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we also had the person slander segment, but
yeah, that is our segment. That's our crowning achievement right there.
Yeah, but I mean, we haven't done it now in I think 2 months, but it's for the right reason. Because we're getting people that person does, or they don't know person. Which, fine.
Or you have people who, like, as much as I think the issue is as well, like, even with joke segments like that, so many people in the scene won't even, like, be mean to someone as a joke. They're like, oh no, everybody's lovely.
Yeah, like Hannah Sophie last week. Didn't want to be mean at all to Spec. Like, was the nicest person in the world. Like, there's not a mean bone in her body. It felt like, hey, get out of there.
What be the cat doing?
She was around my computer cords.
Lovely, delicioso.
Num num num.
Okay, but I mean, guys, 14 episodes down. Like I said, this isn't going to be something where we do it frequently. Maybe 2-3 times a year, or if there's ever just a point where we all kind of come together and say, let's do another a pod review. Just because, like, this is just getting it out there a little bit more, like, kind of what goes on behind the scenes with us and this entire thing. But, like, I don't see this becoming like a regular thing. Like I said, 2-3, get off of that times a year.
Yeah,
but
yeah. It's good to do. It's a good thing to accomplish.
Listen, I would say the pod review will be fun.
Yeah.
We should what's it called? Should we say on something that'll be recorded and uploaded what we set as the joking goal by episode 50? What we were talking about last week?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, all right. Reinforce by episode 50.
Yeah.
Be there or be square. Reinforce. This is your official warning. You will be here.
Okay, I forgot that was what we said. I thought episode 50 was going to be the roast.
I thought I thought it was about the live.
But no. Mega said Reinforce will be on before episode 50. By episode 50, episode 50 will be a roast where, like, the joking goal is to try to get as many people who have been on the podcast to come in and just rip us apart, even if some of them do not know us.
That's crazy. It'd be a hell of a content farm.
Wait, I just realized if we keep the person slander bit up as a way for him to get us back, he could be the roast master. He could be in charge of it.
True. He'd love that.
He wouldn't get paid for it, so he still couldn't sue us.
He'll get paid in Megalass channel points. All right.
All right. Okay.
Guys. I know you're trying to wrap this up.
Yeah.
I had a quick little thing to throw out there because I think this is a fun thing to ask because I know there are people we want on here, but I'm gonna throw it out to all of us. If there's just one person, just throw realism to the side. Just throw it to the side. It doesn't exist. If there's one person you could have on this podcast, like who in your dreams would you love to have on here?
Avast. Not even like a thought in my head. It would be Avast because I want the tell-all book.
It's hard because I feel like we're all gonna say casters.
Well, probably, yeah. I'm definitely going to.
But like I said, I love having casters on, but I would want to try to find someone from the behind the scenes. So whether it be
Yeah.
someone from OWCS or hell, even Valorant, I think that would be really, really fun.
Yeah, I mean the two that came to mind for me, because the one person I thought you were going to mention would have been OBS Sojourn.
That OBS Sojourn
I
is
was-
definitely one of the people, and one of our friends and previous guests are on Featured does technically help her out.
I also would have said Avril. I'm a avid Avril enjoyer, is what I will say. But
Here.
Avril is also, I believe, currently, maybe still is like completely across the planet still.
Yeah.
So.
Here, but my at least name I know. So I feel like she would be a fun one. A host, not necessarily a caster. So technically she was a caster this past stage.
Am I crazy, or did you cut out when you said specifically the name?
So
I think so too. Yeah. I ain't gonna
Oh,
lie.
Zoe. Okay, I
So-
assumed it was Zoe when you described it after, but like you cut out for us specifically when you said the name, so it was like, oh, okay.
I was like,
my
who is he
computer's
talking
hating me.
about?
Okay, but guys, let's wrap it
Yeah,
up with one last thing here from all of us. What has been do not take that. What has been something so far that you guys have really, really liked about this? It might, and it could be something we've already talked about with this, but what has been one thing in the first 14 episodes that we've all really enjoyed about this?
I've enjoyed spending my time with great people, and again, just getting to hear fun stories. Truthfully, I always think I'm like the annoying outside person in terms of esports, and so just for Dex to have asked me to do this already feels like a massive honor, and to get to hear all these stories, it truly makes my week every week.
Yeah, I won't steal the answer necessarily, though I agree entirely with it. It's also hearing the different perspectives as well, because while generally a lot of us share the same answer for the second question of why do we stay, for a lot of people, it feels like the story is quite a bit different every single time. Because for the three of us, it's essentially the same answer. But for everyone else who came from different walks of life and found it in one form or another, it's kind of good to see everyone kind of come into this in their own way, and yet somehow we all connect in the center in one way or another.
Yeah, and like mine would definitely be like a combination of both your guys's, but it's also like being able to talk with two people who I consider really, really good friends every week outside of the probably the 30 minutes before a broadcast and the 5-10 minutes after a broadcast. Being able to talk with you guys just a little bit more is really one of my favorite parts of the week, and it's great that it started. It's great. Holy fucking shit! Speak. It's great that it happens on a Monday, but because of how my work schedule works, it's technically a Friday for me.
Yeah,
but like safe. But just being able to talk to, like I said, two people who I consider to be some of my closest friends in esports, it's just really, really great.
It 100% is.
All
I
right.
think that's the best way to cap off that
Exactly.
Yep.
process right there.
Yeah. She seemed confused. But guys, hey, I'll stop that there. 33, probably 34 minutes by the time this wraps up. Thank you guys so much for doing this. Thank you everyone so much for watching this behind the scenes or a pod review. Like I said, this is not going to be a normal or consistent thing. Don't expect this again after episode 28. Or hell, maybe even for a while here. It's just when we feel like there's some more stuff to talk about with how this podcast goes, we'll come together and we will, do one of these things. It might be 2 months. It might be the end of the year before we do this again. But again, thank you guys so much for doing this. Thank you so much for watching, y'all. And again, we'll see you next Monday for whoever we have. Hopefully it'll be a great episode. Do not take that. All right, guys, again, thank you.